IT infrastructure back there is in a state to quickly adopt those changes and support it. So this is the challenge, which we eventually land into if connectivity is not viewed. But I see a message which says there's some problem with the audio connection. Am I still audible?
Audible.
Can someone please confirm if you can hear me?
Sargam, you're audible.
Okay. Okay, so the next chart that we have, I'm on chart 6 now. This is the the integration or connectivity landscape and how it evolves over time. So whatever I just talked about, you see an organization represented here, which initially talks amongst itself. You have a local environment in a firewall, and then there comes a DMZ, because the moment you start exposing the services and your data to the external entities, you put a firewall in place so that only the authorized people can get access to your systems. Then comes the newer challenges of integrating newer channels, like you have cloud coming into picture, you have mobile, cellular networks, and other than not just mobile, it could be data coming from absolutely any source. It could be some sensors put somewhere which you need to get the data from. You need to interact with your trading partner community. So this picture kind of consolidates the comprehensive connectivity and integration landscape that we see today for an enterprise. And what we are going to go through now on will tell you how we at IBM recommend the approach to addressing these challenges. What are the steps that we recommend for you to go across in your connectivity and integration journey, and which are the products that we have to support the transition. So with that, we come to the second part of the presentation, which is going to deal with the actual technologies behind the challenges that we just spoke about. The first one being, let's see how, because when we talk connectivity, the basic requirement is for some data to flow from one endpoint to another endpoint. And to do that, you need some mechanism, and messaging is one of the various ways in which we can do that. Most common one that we see is HTTP, but then messaging is a little different. And let's first start by understanding what do we mean by messaging. So when we say messaging, there are two ways. When an application A communicates to application B, the conversation between these two applications can be synchronous or asynchronous. So when we say synchronous, we are essentially saying that application A needs to communicate, it needs a response. Application A is going to send a request to B, wait for the response to come back, and then proceed with its work. So something like what happens when you use a HTTP kind of a transaction. You send a request, it gets processed on the server, and you get a response. So what's happening there is the sender application, the one which initiates the conversation, is waiting for the other application to reply, and only then it proceeds with the work. Whereas what we are, in case of messaging, what happens, the nature of communication that happens here is asynchronous. And what that means is there is something called like a buffer in between. So application A sends a message which goes to this buffer. Application A can continue with its work. Whenever application B is available, it might be immediately or it might be after some time. That message is passed on to B. After the work is done, B sends the reply back, and then that comes to A. So asynchronous kind of transactions, what they mean is that one application is not essentially waiting for the task to be completed by the next application. It's doing its own work, and it gets to know whenever that work is done. Now when we say messaging, there can be two modes or two types of messaging, and there are different protocols which are being used, but yes, JMS, Java Messaging Services, is what is the base. So when we are doing messaging kind of a request-response transaction, it could be a point-to-point scenario, or it could be a publish-subscribe scenario. So when we say point-to-point, we mean there are two applications in context here. Application A sends a request for B to do something. Once B has done that work, a response is received. Now what happens in a publish-subscribe model is there is a topic of interest to which different applications can subscribe. That this is the data that they would want to get, and whenever there is some data available, the owner or the publisher of that data puts the data on that topic, and the subscribers get the information. So if we translate this into business scenarios, maybe if you are having a fund transfer from one account in your bank to some other account in some other person's account or your own account in a different bank, that is a point-to-point kind of a transaction because the sender and the receiver are unique here. Whereas if it's an application which has to display a stock quote, for example, so to display a stock quote, it is listening to a particular topic. Whenever there is a data which arrives at that topic, they get notified and publish a newer quote. So I'm on the next chart now, chart number 10. Now when we say messaging, what essentially are we talking of? I mean, what is the challenge here? We have a protocol which lets us do this exactly what we are talking about. So what exactly is the challenge? The challenge becomes tough because as long as all the systems which you are communicating with or which are communicating with each other are within your control, you know exactly what operating systems they are. You know what is the configuration, what is the hardware, what is the software. You are the decision maker there and you can control that environment. But as we just saw, the enterprise today is exploring beyond its own boundaries and reaching out to other areas where it never thought of, where it was never envisaged that is going to happen. So what that does is it imposes a different set of requirements on your infrastructure. You need to move data between different systems which could be having different platforms, which means different hardware, different software configuration, different programming models. Then when you are moving this data from receiver to the sender or sender to the receiver, you need to take care of a number of things. Like you need to see if there are network failures while transferring the data. You need to make sure that when the information is being delivered, and in case the target application is not online, whenever it comes online, the message is delivered at that point. So assured delivery is there. You need to take care of that. You need to take care of the integrity and the recovery. In case when the message is being sent, the sender or the receiver gets disrupted, what happens in that case? So the applications could be as mission critical as doing the transfer of funds. You would not want to be in a situation where a transfer has been initiated from account 1 and it doesn't get into the recipient's account, or it gets reflected there twice. So you need to take care of the integrity and the reliability of the data transfer which is happening. You need to make sure that the data which is getting transferred is secure. There is no sniffing which is possible. It is encoded, encrypted, not only when it is transferred, but also when it is being held. So if the data is there in a queue, at that point, no other application should be able to sniff and to read the contents of that data. So these are some non-functional requirements which your infrastructure has to take care of. And I mean, mostly you'll need a way to impose these requirements. And how you do that could be either by programming everything in your application. You write code to make sure all this happens, or if you want a little more structured way and you realize that this is some code which is being reused time and again, you might land up with your own middle layer where you have this set of code that you develop, which each application can invoke and get this quality of service. But if you're doing that, you're spending your significant time and energy as well as significant cost in doing something which we call middleware kind of a work. So you are not just concentrating on your business, but you are also taking care of developing the infrastructure which is going to support your business use cases. That is where a company like IBM would come in, and products that we provide under our connectivity portfolio are going to do that for you. So all these, whatever we talked about, the things like different platforms, different hardware communication being connected to each other, network failure is being taken care of, integrity, recovery, security, all of these different things which I mentioned are going to be taken care of for you by the products which we are going to look at now. I'm on chart number 11, and it will take a couple of seconds to refresh. Meanwhile, so the first product which we will look at here